So I want to welcome everybody to the Philadelphia Folk Song Society board meeting. I'm going to be leading it because Miles is a little under the weather. I'm a little under the weather too, just not as much as Miles. So you get me for this session. So welcome everybody. First, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Does anybody want to call the meeting to order? Anybody approve? Or Wendy is calling the meeting. Anybody second? Miles will second. Everybody in favor? I might have been muted. Was I muted? Did anybody hear me? Yeah, you did. Okay. All right. So what we want to do first is approve the minutes from July. We did not have a official meeting in August. We met at the festival, but so I need a motion to approve the July.
To approve the July minutes.
Anybody second? Jess, let's do that. All in favor of approving the minutes from July? It looks like it was unanimous. All right, so president's update, which I'm going to give for Miles. Miles is sick today. So he apologizes for not being able to speak, and if he bows out, we will just all wish him well. So the first thing is going to be on the agenda is the upcoming Board of Directors election that will be held either in December or January. My first question is, do we have anybody who is on the governance committee in the meeting? Because I know George is away, I think in Europe having fun, and isn't here, but if there's anybody you want to raise your hand. Nobody. Okay. So this is what I have. So the board has to present a slate of candidates by a certain time. I don't know what that exact time is, and the governance committee should know. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I had not. The other thing is, if members are interested in running for the board of directors, you can submit your request and your interest for that. There has been things that have been posted, and I know that Jess is going to be sending out a notification about how you can submit your interest for running for the board seat. We have, I believe, 3 open. Well, there are 3 seats. George and Miles' terms are up. George cannot run again because he is the governance chair and he is precluded from running. Miles, I'm assuming and hope that you're running, which would leave 2 additional seats. And I think, is it Jess, or do you have to run?
Jen may have, Jess will have to run again, and we have an
open
seat, which I'm pretty sure we can. Yeah, I think that the person that was an open seat from, I believe this would have been the end of their term.
Right.
I'd have to check with George about who that is. So I think that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, so there should be 3 people every year. There should be 3 people who are running. So so again, if you're interested, look for the notification that Jess sends out. And I know that there've been various communications before. So all right. So next up, we're going to talk about the financials from Eric Robbins. So Eric, you're up.
Thank you, Eric. Let me share my screen. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, well, I guess everyone already read the first line, so they don't need me to say anything. So happy to report that this year's festival was a great financial success. We made approximately $167,000. Big thank yous to our festival directors and our director of contracts for really going above and beyond to make sure that we can make money, that we can reduce our costs. So thank you to them and everyone else with their efforts. In addition, we raised an additional $38,000 in donations, which is not included in that festival profit money. Big shout out to Rob Kutzik, who helped bring in all that money with campaigns and with some of our large donors. And now, as a result, we have approximately $232,000 in net assets. So taking a look at the festival income statement, you can see, let me see if I can get this on one screen for you. There we go. All right, you can see we had total revenue of about 1.12 million. And you can see that's made up of, we had festival ticket sales of about 846,000. That's about 93% of the ticket sales that occurred in 2022, which was our goal to get close to that. We did sell about 1,000 less adult tickets, but because of the price increases, we were able to get revenue upwards to 93% of that. Our merchandise and raffle sales came in at about 150,000, which was also comparable to 22. We expected it to be a little bit lower with less people, but Trina, big shout out to her and her team for doing a great job with the merch sales. Festival sponsorships and advertising sales, about 70,000 there. Another big shout out to Rob for that. We did not have sponsorships and advertisements other than 4,000 that I'm aware of in 22. So this was a new number coming in and something we're going to do every year to help support our festival. Our vendor fees were comparable to 22. We had about 45,000 in vendor fees. We had a $10,000 grant, and we were able to earn $1,600 in interest by investing our ticket sales money. So we got the 1.1 million of revenue, and the expenses came under $1 million. They were budgeted above $1 million, about $1,050,000. So we did a good job of reducing expenses with different strategic initiatives and cost cutting. There you can see the largest thing is our equipment rental, 200,000. Performer fees were close to 150, which was an area that we had cut back a lot on going into it, knowing that we had to come up with a budget that breaks even. Didn't want to be in a position where we lost money for this festival. Our production costs came in about 110,000. And then just reading down, festival management expense, 64,000. Our merchandise cost was 67, professional fees the same, program supplies, which is kind of a catch-all for a lot of things that we have to buy, 60,000, site preparation costs 50, food and beverage about 50 as well, 32,000 for performer hospitality and for our land lease with the Godshaws, 21,000 in advertising, 20 in trash, 17 in insurance, 5 in license, and 10,000 in contingency costs. What contingency costs are? They're costs that pop up for areas that weren't budgeted. In this case, as mostly everyone knows, we had some well issues and also some hot water heaters we had to replace. So all in all, we had a great festival from a financial perspective. So I'm real happy. I hope everybody is as well. And then at the end of the day, if you look at our balance sheet, what our financial position is as of today, we have close to $200,000 in cash in our bank accounts. A good portion of that is invested to earn some interest for us. We are still due 48,000 from Up Events. That will be the final payment that is due to us. We have an outstanding sponsorship to be paid to us of 25,000, a pledge from a donor for 10, and some miscellaneous vendor receivables we're still waiting to collect. So our total assets are 290,000. We have 58,000 of liabilities. So our net assets, which is the equity of the organization, is 231,000. Our liability breaks down. We've practically paid everything off for Fest. The 17,000 we owe are just based on vendors who haven't gotten us the bills, though I've asked for them. We do owe UST 34,000 in taxes that we've collected on ticket sales and owe to them. That's not an expense to us, but it is money we collect and need to pay over to them. I will cut that check this week to pay them off. And we have sales tax for payable for some of our merchandise sales, and that will be due at the end of the following month when our sales tax return is due. We have an old bill, 5,200. We can actually afford to pay it now, so we'll see what happens there, but that's something we were trying to settle. So that is the treasurer's report for September.
All right,
Let me
thank you,
chime
Eric.
in if I may, let me chime in for a minute and just say that, ladies and gentlemen, for the past umpteen years, we have whatever money we've made for festival, if we made money, immediately went to paying past bills and paying old stuff. And then we didn't pay people and we strung them out for a long time. This festival has managed to pay off nearly all of its debts by the end of September. We have a few outstanding. I just want to say that to this board of directors and to Eric Ring and his finance committee, that Eric Robbins and the finance committee, that is flippin' amazing. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Yeah, and I will also add, I don't remember a time where I've even known what the financials of the festival are. So, and that is pretty much Eric Robbins is responsible for that. And I think Eric did a fantastic job. Yeah, I don't think that we would have been as successful. I mean, without everybody, but specifically financially speaking, because this organization has had some issues with finances, and I think Eric has really helped put us in the right ship.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that. I would be remiss if I didn't thank my finance committee, the PFS Finance Committee, Marie Dalton, Alyssa Landis, Cami Taylor, Julie Linehauser, and Peter Evans.
so next on the agenda, because we had a successful festival, is to figure out what we're going to do in 2025. So, would anybody on the board like to make a motion for 2025? Eric?
Eric
I would
Robbins,
love to motion to have a folk festival in 2025 on Old Poor Farm.
I will second that.
Okay. Everybody in favor, raise your hand. There is going to be a festival at the farm in 2025. And we probably have the dates. Who has the date pulled up that we can?
Middle of August.
Middle of August. All right. What is it? Third weekend in August, something like that. All right. We will let you know for sure. But
Like
you
August
guys,
15, 16, 17.
so everybody can put that in their book right now. We're having a festival.
Yeah,
Okay.
15, 16, 17 looks like to
Of
me.
August. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to briefly talk about one negative thing, generally speaking. And actually, Jess, you have your hand up. So, Jess, did
It
not
was
mean
just
to?
it was just my excitement earlier. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It was an auto thing. Thank you.
Okay. So the one negative thing is when you have tons of people that are working together, there's going to be some conflicts. There were some complaints that were basically submitted. We have formed a committee to look into those complaints. We are investigating those complaints. There's no decisions that have been made. We're not going to make any decisions until we have fully investigated and really have a total understanding of what's going on. That is going to be a process. But I want basically your members to know that it is definitely being addressed. And we're working on it, and give us time to do that, and give us time to do it in a proper way, is what I'm requesting. And that's pretty much what I want to say about those. I am now going to go to our development report with Rob. So Rob, you're up.
Thank you, Eric. First of all, I want to thank Eric, like everyone else. He kept the revenue, he kept the expenses down and worked with his team to do that. The revenue piece of it, he gave me credit for the fundraising, but it couldn't have happened without not only our RD committee and everyone on it. I'm going to leave someone out, so I'm not going to mention the names, but they know who they are. They did a tremendous job, but it couldn't have happened without the people actually giving the money. And that was most of you. The members did a tremendous amount of the actual revenue for fundraising. You may have noticed that our sponsorships, even though they were way, way ahead of last year, did not quite actually meet the goal that I wanted to see that was in there. So we made it up through some donations. So that was the extra 38,000. So in all, over $100,000 was raised specific for the festival, although only about 69 was in the budget line item. And in addition, there were a lot of money raised in other ways this year, as you know, with the Gene Shea event, the Quest for Fest, as well as the famous porta potty contest. I forget what we called it. I know that Erin came up with the name. Actually, it was someone in the committee, but I'm at a loss right now what we call that particular campaign. But it was a lot of fun, but it also made a huge difference. So we're going to continue raising money, even though, as you see, we've done well. The only way that we're going to ensure that we continue to be a professional organization that has diverse funding streams is we're going to have continued fundraising. In addition to a Gene Shea event next year, we will be taking nominations. Shortly, we'll have a nomination form. We will be reforming that committee. That will begin in October. Speaking of October, we're going to have a very small fundraiser, only $15 to get in on October 10th. We're having a MAC fundraiser with 20 showcase artists. Each year it'll have a different theme. This year it happens to be thematically related to me, but every year it'll be a different person. So hopefully you'll be able to attend October 10th for that. Beyond that, fundraising, we are going to be having sponsorships rolling out again. Much earlier this year, we did not get the kind of corporate, corporate interest that I wanted to see. So we're going to start earlier this year, and we're going to develop our sponsorship packet by November 1st.
Does the MAC fundraiser at the Keswick?
The fundraiser in March will be at the Colonial. The fundraiser on October 10th will be at the Falzer Club.
Oh, Falzer Club. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. That goal is very, very small. It's $1,000 goal.
That's in East Falls, if anybody's curious as to where that is and doesn't recognize the name.
It's a
Great
beautiful
space.
club, and there'll be performers like Jackson Pines, Valentina Sounds, Jefferson Barry, all sorts of MAC performers, and a lot of them have played the festival before.
I am going to take this opportunity to switch back to the festival and have Jess talk about the leadership survey.
Thank you. Yeah, so just as a part of our general practice, we are engaging in soliciting feedback from our volunteers. Mainly for right now, we focused on our volunteer leadership, and we have sent a survey out to find out what their feedback was of their experience during this past festival, and recommendations for moving forward. So we greatly appreciate that input. Thank you for spending the time. We did get quite a few responses. There was a deadline, but if you still wanted to provide responses, of course, we are open to extending that deadline. So please, if you haven't yet done so, complete that. We are taking the feedback very seriously in supporting our plans for next year. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Jess. Rob, I know you talked a little bit about the Musical Artists Cooperative. Do you have anything additional
Just
and that's
briefly, very briefly, Musical Artists Cooperative has been expanding its venues. We have a lot of hardworking volunteers. Our booking committee, led by Jefferson, and our marketing committee that is led by Mara Levine. And you see our marketing out all the time. We'd love to get more people out. Some of our shows are not as well attended as we hope. Just remember that all members get a discount or go in free. And we have a number of shows in October, so you'll want to check out the calendar and tune up. And as I mentioned, we have the October 10th will be one with 20 different performers. That'll be a fundraiser, but there's some other great shows coming up even sooner. So please keep an eye out for that. Anything else? Yeah, we'll also have a party at the end of the year with a Mac showcase, so that'll be a lot of fun as well.
great. And then, Rob, I'm gonna keep you on the spot and have you do our membership report.
So I don't have a lot to report other than we are looking into a CRM, which is a database that will have accurate numbers that will finally be able to give you exact numbers without having to have Erin go into all of the Excel sheets and figure that out, or have Jess do that. Our latest numbers are hovering about where we were before the fest, maybe a little under, because a lot of memberships have expired. So please, if you're not sure if your membership has expired, let us know. We will try to look into that, but we'd like everybody, of course, to renew. And we're hoping by next month or the month after, we'll be able to give you actual formal reports, printouts from our new CRM.
Yeah. And I know that Wendy would like to talk about two festivals, one that's kind of coming up and one that we were involved with that occurred last weekend. So Wendy, if you want to talk about those.
And Miles, if he feels like it. So last weekend was the WXPN Exponential Festival where we had a booth. It was a great festival. The weather was beautiful. And Miles and I got a new spinny prize wheel and bought a bunch of tchotchkes and t-shirts and things like that. We had a lot of traffic at the booth. We had a bunch of people take membership forms to sign up online. We had a bunch of people sign up for the MAC mailing list. This weekend will be the Mount Airy Arts Festival at the Allens Lane Arts Center, Saturday, 12 to 4. And Miles and I will be at that booth again with our prize wheel. So come on out. There's a lot of other stuff, food trucks, music, all kinds of stuff going on this weekend.
Great. I always now miss Exponential Festival because I go up to Fresh Grass in Western Mass, and I actually ran into a bunch of Folk Fest people up at Fresh Grass in Western Mass, which was great. We had some great conversations. So next up, we're going to have Jess talk to us about the communications.
And sure, and I'll continue talking a little bit about community outreach. So if you are interested in tabling opportunities, we can always use an extra set of hands. Just reach out to me and I'll add you to my list. I have a list that I send, a list of members that I send out opportunities for, and usually it involves what Wendy just described, engaging conversations with others, letting them know PFS is still alive and well, and also, spreading the news that Fest is back and continues to be back. So it's a really nice opportunity to talk with other people, spread the word about PFS, and usually involves being able to also see some music. So just let me know if that's something that interests you. Extra volunteers is always nice. We have I have a visual. I think I'm going to skip the visual for now. You'll be able to access that in the tune-up so you can see more details. But we do have some upcoming opportunities in October. We already have volunteers set to serve at the Keswick Theater on October 11th, and they're going to see the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and so that's always fun. Keswick Theater really it has been supportive of PFS and allowed us to table there. We also have some upcoming opportunities to receive ticket giveaways and receive discounted tickets for shows Most notably this month, we still have a few left coming up. And so you probably saw that in your communications recently. Sierra Hull is tomorrow. I believe that the discount is done and the giveaway is done, but you can always go there and join some other PFS friends. And then also on the 27th, we have Shug Daniels and Gooch and the Motion. So it's a fest fave. You would probably recognize her. And then coming up at People's Light, we have a show. And this, when I say a show, I'm talking about a theater performance. It's called The Porch on Windy Hill, and PFS members get a discount. So check your emails. You'll find information about that. And then for next month, announcing some new ticket giveaways and discounts for a few shows, and that includes, I can't read this writing, I'm sorry, give me just a second. Okay, here it is. Thank you. Molly Pardon, Louisa Stankoif, and Eliza Edens on October 16th. And then on October 23rd is Joan Osborne and Joshua Radin. So those are both some opportunities brought to us by Rising Sun Presents. We thank our community partners. As some of you know, Sellersville Theater has engaged in some partnerships with us, and we may continue some more with them, so stay tuned for that. Keswick is always really gracious as well, so we really appreciate that. Also in communications updates, you'll hear more about governance, as Eric mentioned earlier, and just the upcoming election. And I know Rob already talked about some upcoming MAC shows. I don't know, did you mention that the open mic changed the venue for this?
Yeah, let me explain the open mic for a second. That's very helpful. Every month we have a virtual open mic that's run by Maura Levine and Tom Cooney, but we have a in-person open mic every month as well. When there is not a main show at the Keswick, when there's no other show going on, it'll happen right after the MAC show at the Keswick. On months where there is a regular Keswick show, we cannot do the open mic there. It's going to be at the Scottish Rite Cathedral in Collingswood, New Jersey. So every month there'll be an in-person open mic and a virtual open mic, but the in-person will be at different locations depending on situations.
Thank you. And I was partly including this in my update just because I think it's really important to note for our PFS members some of the highlights that you're receiving. And so that's something that you are welcome to join in on. And so for October 8th, it'll be at the Scottish Rite Auditorium. More information will be found in the tune-up about that. But also there's, of course, at the Keswick, as Rob mentioned, our free monthly member concert and gathering. And that's free for you every, what is it, first Tuesday, second Tuesday? I always get that wrong, but it's October.
Third Tuesday.
Okay, sorry, I was wrong. But it's the third Tuesday, and that's Liz Miller for this month, for this coming month. So it's always exciting and fun to see our local acts. So thanks a lot for helping coordinate that, Rob. And I know Mara and the other MAC leadership is really helpful as well with the coordination. And that's it for me for communications.
Forgive me for this. I had to step away. Jess, did you mention People's Light?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then Jess, I think you actually have membership numbers too, if you want to do that.
Sure. So Rob did talk about this a little bit. I did figure out some rough numbers. So I'm starting from July. So starting from July to September, we had 621 expiring memberships. That sounds like a lot, and it is, because we had a huge campaign last year in 2023. And that campaign was our True Believers campaign, where people were able to renew memberships. Some people renewed it early. Some people added on, additional add-ons for that True Believer. And so we had 621 expiring and only 237 additions. So that said, we are down from 1,201 members to now 817. So if you know someone who has not renewed their membership, or even if you're not sure and just want to talk about it with some of your friends, hey, did you renew it recently? That's something that, you know, we can engage in, because of course it's going to help the society to expand and continue to grow. You know, our hopes are to eventually have more opportunities. We have our MAC, we have our festival, but with members like you, we're able to continue to expand and grow some of our programs as we have had offered in the past. So thank you to those of you who have renewed. And please, you know, check your emails for reminders. There are reminders sent out monthly. And then you'll know to renew. But Rob also hinted at there's going to be a new membership management system that will hopefully offer like auto renewal and hopefully offer some generated reminders that go directly to you, you know, things like that. So it's not on the shoulders of our volunteers and these rough estimates. So thanks for your patience, everyone. We are working toward that. Any other updates, Rob? Did I miss anything there?
No, but there's an exciting activity that Wendy's aware of that is coming back that we've had over the years for many years. I don't know if this is the time, but I think the members would be very interested to hear this, if it's okay, Eric.
Sure. Rob, go ahead.
I want Wendy to say it. Wendy's
Wendy, go ahead.
So, I'm assuming you and I are talking about the same thing. So in years past, Diane Tankel and Bob Cohen hosted something called the Thanksgiving Sing, which was the Friday after Thanksgiving at their house, and I went to many of those. We haven't done it in a while, but Nancy Zieber has offered to host a Friday after Thanksgiving Sing for members. The information will be in the tune-up. She's going to open her house. She'll have the address. She's, you know, she says like bring something to eat, that kind of stuff, but it's going to be like bring your instrument, bring your voice, and hang out. So that's really nice. It's been a long time.
Great. The last thing that I have on my agenda before question and answer, I just want to update people on our tax situation, filing the 990. I have two numbers that I just have to break out in the form, which I'm going to be doing with Eric, the other Eric, in the next day or so. So other than that, the return is done. Everything seems to be balancing. So we should have that filed, and then we use that to file with the state also. So in terms of our filing for that, we should be in good shape. There's still a few payroll, very past payroll issues that we're still kind of dealing with that got complicated because they hadn't been filed back in the day. So I'm still working on that. And that's where we are. Wendy?
One more, if you're done, I have one more thing to
I'm done.
discuss really quick, which just popped up, which I forgot. Iron Mountain, as you guys know, we are paying a huge amount of money to Iron Mountain to keep our archives there. Trish Hurley Callahan and I are working on getting a weekend where Iron Mountain will deliver all 225 boxes to our office space in Glenside. And we will need a large number of volunteers to help us sort in the parking lot and then walk up those 20 steps to get them to the upstairs thing. So I'll post that on our official pages. I'll get in the tune-up if the timing is right. But please, you know, once I post it, reach out to me or Trish, and we can figure out how many volunteers we need. The more volunteers, the fewer trips up that flight of stairs. So we'll let you know.
Awesome. All right, that's it for that. We're going to open it up to members for questions and hopefully some answers. So if you have a question, raise your hand and I will call on you and we'll go from there. If there aren't any questions, then that's great. Okay, Mara?
Okay, one quick item. I don't recall seeing the volunteer survey. Maybe I missed it, Jess. that would be great to get a copy of that.
That was sent to volunteer leadership team for right now.
Oh, okay, thank you, thanks. And then one comment, just to check in to see the status of getting parking passes for press, people who get the press passes. There was an issue this year with one of the DJs that was raised to my attention. So I just wanted to mention that. And then I don't see Jefferson's hand up anywhere, so I just want to mention, if it's okay, the other concerts that we're having this month, besides the one that Jess spoke about. So we have on the 2nd of October, Winchester, Perry, and Last Chance at the Warehouse 3, a CD release concert for Last Chance. It's already mentioned that we have the open mic, and Rob's show on October 10th, Liz Miller on the 15th. Jackson Pines and at the Naked Brewing. This is a new venue for us in Bristol, Pennsylvania. It is no cover. Come on down. So that's in Bristol. Jackson Pines is all going to be in the tune-up. On October 19th, we have Cubism and Will Painter and the Collective at the Mount Airy Art Garage. And we have this Thursday free concert with Avi Wisnia at the Wissahickon Library Bluebell Branch. It's a free concert at 6 p.m. and he'll find out shortly whether or not the documentary that he and his grandfather were featured in, called Saba Kept Singing, was nominated for an Emmy. We have one of our own so we'll find out very shortly about that. So that'd be exciting. So that's what else we have coming up this particular month. And we hope that we see you out at some of these wonderful shows. There are discounts for MAC and PFS for all the shows. And of course, we have a couple of free shows this month, as mentioned, and the open mics are open. Come on out.
All right, thank you, Mara. Next up, and if you have a question, raise your hand and I'll call on you. I'm not totally looking at the chat because it's hard to look at both. Kate had her hand up. It just went off, but Kate, if you're there, there you are.
Hi, yeah,
Okay.
hi, it's Kate Gaffney here. Good to be here to check out this board of directors meeting. I've been out of the area for 18 years and I'm back, and I was very happy to be at Fest this year. I'm so glad to hear it's a success. I really want to be able to contribute to however I can to make sure it continues to be successful. Anyways, my question is about the MAC collective, and I have I'm a performer as well. And I have other friends who are performers. I'm also a member, signed up this year. I just want to understand a little more about that. Who is there, like, what is the exclusivity aspect of it? How are you a part of it? What is it even? What is it? I don't really know.
So Kate, this is Rob Lincoln. I know I have a different last name here. Yeah, so the way it's going to work is we're going to only have a certain amount of new members each year because of capacity, and they will need to be nominated by members. You're definitely on our radar screen. It was great to meet you. Yep.
Oh, thank you. But I was just curious what it is all about. I guess I'm not clear. What is?
So what it is essentially, and you know, more and Jefferson want to add, it basically has three fundamental pieces. It's a cooperative where we work together to essentially provide both opportunities to perform, professional development opportunities, and networking, and it also allows for marketing and promotion of our acts. If Jefferson or Maura would like to add and be a little more articulate, feel free.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, my only other question was, are these paid performances, or is this like volunteered? Do the MAC performers
So that's a very good question. The October 10th performance that I was promoting tonight is a fundraiser. So all of the members that are coming up for just one song, they're volunteering their time. But in general, all of our performances, other than those showcases, are paid. And in fact, in some of the free shows, they're paid by the venues. And the one member show a month, it's paid by PFS. And in all the others, they have to do with the door, and PFS does not receive any funding actually for any of these shows. other than this fundraiser. So performers get paid in all of the shows other than the fundraiser.
I see. And so not all of these performances put on or sponsored by the PFS goes into money for Fest for the future. Is that what you're saying? It's only the two
So when we
fundraisers?
do a fundraiser, we'll either specify that it's directly for the festival, such as what we had when our contest near the festival, and when we did our sponsorships, or it's funding to support the Folk Song Society, which of course is what allows the festival to exist. So the funds go into the health of the organization, to keep our organization in position to continue having festivals. So it's either directly going to fund the festival or indirectly. In the case of the fundraisers in the fall, in the GHA event, it indirectly funds the festival. In the case of the fundraisers we do getting closer to the festival and the sponsorships and advertising, it's exclusively funding the festival. Either way, it helps the festival.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for the info.
Give you an idea of the scale of what we've been doing. We produced over 50 shows this year for our membership, 60 members about. The idea there is that people come out, bands promote their appearances at our shows, but we have opened up 9 venues over this year and keeping the Philadelphia Folk Song Society up in everybody's face, like we're still relevant. And so, it's a neat community.
I love it. Yeah, that sounds
All right.
fantastic. Thank you.
So Jefferson, I'll call on you after. I'm gonna bring Noelle. I think she's next, and then Jefferson, I'll call on you because you had your hand raised too.
Cool.
Okay. So Noelle.
Hi, this is Noelle Halter. I'm with the leadership team with the camping committee at Folk Fest. I'm highly impressed with the board. Thank you for everything that you've done so far. I just have a super low-level quick question. The grant, the $10,000 grant and your financials, where did that come from?
That grant was a specific program grant from the Martin Guitar Foundation. It's what funded the guitar workshops, the guitar education workshops that happened in the cultural tent at Fest. It was a very specific, we wrote the grant, Ann Stevenson Smith submitted the grant, we got the grant, and then Andy Braunfeld, one of our festival directors, reworked the grant to make it fit better with what we were doing with the Martin guitar people. But that $10,000 was a very specific programmed chunk of money.
Good. Are there other grant opportunities out there for this sort of for the Folk Fest?
Rob,
So-
I'm gonna Rob and Annie.
Yeah. So when I came on board, I kind of was looking at what we call diversifying funding streams, and grants are one of our funding streams. So the quick answer is there's always grants that might be possible, and we're always keeping an eye out for them. And we certainly encourage you to send them our way, but we then have to make a determination in terms of ROI. We have at least one very experienced grant writer, Annie Stevenson, who helps in this area. And we have to determine whether the amount of work for the grant is worth a $5,000 grant, for instance, where it's much simpler, at least in my business as a professional fundraiser, to get a $5,000 gift. So we will be looking at grants, but it will not be our primary source of revenue. I don't know if
Understood.
that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sure.
The other piece we're up against, just to know, is that we're in a society now where a lot of grants that are given are not given for general operating of a nonprofit. They're giving for specific programs, and increasingly they've been given for programs, as they should, that help poor, underserved individuals. And since we kind of have a hard sell on that one, we're not cleaning up drug needles in Kensington, and we're not housing homeless people in North Philadelphia. It's kind of dicey when the grant climate shifted that direction. There were fewer and fewer things for cultural organizations. So then you get back to what Rob said. you have to target, and the return on investment has to work.
Annie, you wanna add something real quick?
We had submitted another grant to the Mid-Atlantic Arts Foundation, which is actually federal money coming out. And the reason they said it was a nice thing, but we didn't get it because we were not doing free concerts in an underserved community. So that's exactly the kind of stuff that Miles is talking about.
Thanks, Andy.
All right. So I'm gonna go back to Jefferson. You had your hand up and want to make sure if you had a question or comment.
Well, first, congratulations to the board for pulling this off, because where we started like over a year ago, the picture was very bleak. And what Eric presented tonight, the numbers, not only are they good numbers, but just the transparency, every step of the way. It's just such an impressive effort. And with all that we have to be gratified by, we need to have a Christmas party. And mark in your calendars to Saturday, December 14th. The Philadelphia Folk Song Society Christmas Party is going to be emceed by PFS Max Aaron Nathans. He's going to be curating a show for us, and we're still pushing together the pieces together. It's going to be a potluck sort of thing, but you don't have to wait for Fest to see all your favorite people. It's going to be at the Mount Airy Arts Garage in Philadelphia, 7054 Germantown Avenue. This is one of the venues that we've opened up for shows for our MAC artists. And it's a great space. Like, it's a combination like concert hall and also places, tables to eat at. And it's going to be a really good time. So yeah, mark that down. You're going to hear more about it, but Christmas gets pretty busy. December 14th, that should be our time together.
Thank you,
Rob,
Jefferson.
Just so you know, it is a winter holiday party. We have a number of people of different faiths even on the board.
I'm sorry.
Yes, so
Holiday
just
party.
clarity there. Okay.
Good save. You're correct.
Not that I want to erase Christmas. I'm not into Christmas. I love Santa
Aaron would
Claus.
string me up for that.
And like good Jews, I've written a couple Christmas songs, as Irving Berlin, all the good Jews do.
The best ones have been.
Okay, I'm gonna have Charlie Miller. You're up next.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me? Am I?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Just a question about spring fling and fall fling. I mean, that's important to a lot of us old timers. Any thoughts about that?
Well, we've always said that we're not going to address that. Somebody's got two. I think Charlie might have two profiles active at the same time.
He just muted. So,
we said we'll address that when we're on more solid financial footing. I didn't expect us to be this solid at this point. But
I would say probably fall fling for this year is
fall fling. It should have been planned already. We don't know yet, but I think there's a good likelihood that if things, that let me just say, it feels like we're not saying no to things right now, but I'm not committing to anything. So how's that for vague?
I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Jess, you first.
So if you remember last year, Folk Fest was planned in about 8-9 months, something like that. And now this year, we're still a little behind on the 8 ball. So we are going to be planning the 2025 festival in less than a year. And I know that there were naysayers last year. We did it. We're going to do it again. That said, we still are operating under limited capacity with limited volunteers. We're rethinking structures and how things are done with the volunteer festival leadership, of course, input, like that kind of thing. But it's going to take some time and lots of effort. So we're not saying no, Charlie, but also I think that's important to keep in mind. Wendy, thanks. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I want to just dovetail on what you said, because we would love to do it. Here's the reality of it. It involves a significant outlay of money to the camp, insurance for the camp, and staff that will be able to come earlier than everybody else, stay later than everybody else, and essentially work the entire weekend. We don't have any paid staff right now. And we also can't afford to have money losing events, which Fall Fling was most of the time losing money every year. We can't afford to do that. So it's something we're looking at. I don't know if it'll be for 2025. It might take a concerted volunteer effort to staff it for that to even be a possibility. If anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to talk to you about sort of the ins and outs of that.
The other thing we ran into when we looked at it briefly sometime in the last fuzzy year and a half was that expenses from the camps and insurance from the camps were much greater than they had been in the past. And demanding things like you must use their food service or their catering service and not do it on the cheap. So these are things we're having to make sure all we could work out, Charlie. But yes, it is a beloved thing that we don't want to say it's dead, but we're not. We've got to get there. We have to get there.
Okay, David Axler, you're next.
Thanks, Eric. This one's for you. Since we're almost finished getting the 990s done, I would say that it's time to think about getting ourselves listed for next year's combined federal campaign as a local organization. The 990 is one of the pieces they asked for.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
All right, Steve Ram.
Okay, first applauding everybody for what they're doing. I don't need to put the camera on. Amazing. I'm thrilled. Everything's happening. The question that keeps getting asked every year, and I think we have it this year, and I'm sure somebody will ask that. Do we have numbers of how many tickets were sold? What an average was, what the average number of people there was? Because that gets thrown around every year, and I know you guys probably did that.
It was about 4,000, if I'm correct,
It
right?
was 3,900 adult tickets.
Wow, great. And which was the most popular day? Probably Saturday, right?
I think that is the answer, but I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, no, that's fine. But that's a number. Now we have a number to use going forward, and I thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think most of the tickets were full festival. I
Right.
think like the day trippers was not as high as either we would have liked. Or Rob, you have.
This may seem nitpicking, and I think the question was asked for financial understanding. But in terms of messaging out, particularly when I'm writing to talking to sponsors and other people, when you actually look at the total amount of people unpaid, well, it's over 4,000. It's moving towards 5,000. We want to be very careful when we message this out. So the way I look at it is we have between 4,000 and 4,500 people there at the last festival, and we're getting, we're under 5,000, but that was a number we were hoping for, actually. So
Yeah, and
they seem unimportant, but it's important how we message it. We don't want to say 3,000 people there. It was closer to the 4,000.
yeah, and I think that again, like this year was sort of our coming back year, and we're just hoping to build upon that. So hopefully attendance increases in 2025, and then hopefully we have a 2026 and it increases from there. So I think that's the plan and the hope. But Patrick, you're next.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Fantastic job, festival team. Fantastic job, board. Great job, volunteers. Eric, you mentioned some complaints that happened during Fest that were going to be investigated. Can you summarize the nature of the complaints?
I could, but I'm not. And the reason I'm not is because we haven't fully investigated them. It's not fair to everybody involved. Think of it sort of like if you're working for a company and there's a human resources issue that kind of comes up. We really don't want to do that. And I think, again, if we get into too much, then that opens us up to some liability issues too. That being said, if anybody has a complaint, they should, file it. We take them seriously. we investigate them and we kind of deal with it that way. But I don't want to get into the specifics of it because we also haven't fully investigated them. So that's a process. Okay. Any other questions? No other questions.
There were some people who had questions, but they put them in chat, and I kept saying, please raise your hand and ask
Yeah,
your
and
question.
I said I'm not following the chat. It's
Right.
yeah, it's hard to follow and then
It's hard to track when you're.
people. Yeah. But we will read the comments on chat anyway. If there's anything that we did miss, you know, we'll address it. And I am going to request a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, I think that was Miles. Anybody second?
A second.
Okay, yeah, seconds. All those in favor of adjourning? Okay.